Blades and Blasters presents a Warhammer Fantasy 4th Edition character creation tutorial by Ghost.
Hey everybody, it's Ghost here from Blades and Blasters with another character generation tutorial. This time we're going to be doing one on my favorite settings, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and I believe this is 4th edition? This is something people have been waiting on for quite some time. Yes, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition from Cubicle 7 in Games Workshop. So it's been quite some time since their Warhammer Fantasy was released, as far as for the role-playing game. So pretty excited for this one, and it will be a campaign that is run soon by Doc, Blades and Blasters. I'm very happy to be a part of as a player. But what I'm going to do today is go ahead and run you through character generation. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to try to provide some insights and some opinions on it as well. So we're going to go right into character creation. I'm going to assume people are familiar with Warhammer Fantasy if you're looking at this video or interested at least, and can do some additional research. Obviously, if you have any questions about it, I can go ahead and give you a synopsis of it at any point and reply to any kind of YouTube comments. But I'm going to focus on the character generation here. So as I say, in any kind of character generation, focus on making the character you want to play, and then maybe optimize them. That's my opinion. I always try to make a character I want to play first and then optimize based on that concept. So maybe they're not the greatest at anything. I try not to be too power gaming with it, but I want them to be good at what they should be good at. Because for me, it's a bit immersion breaking if you're supposed to be this real tough guy and you just suck at everything. So, character generation on this, a lot of rollable options, a lot of different choices you can make. So the first thing is you want to pick your species. So those who are familiar with the Warhammer Fantasy world, you're going to know there are obviously more than these species available, but this is what is available for the core book at this time. You got your humans, your halflings, your dwarves, high elves, and wood elves. Obviously big differences between each of them, especially for rolling stats. And there are a couple options that you get to choose from for your species. If you want to roll for it, you can get an additional 20 XP to spend at the start. This is one of the things I like a lot, is if you let the dice fall as they may, which is something I like to do, the game rewards you by giving you additional XP to spend on that character. So we're going to roll for pretty much everything here and go over the advantages of doing so. As you can see, the random species table is skewed. 90% of the time you will be playing a human. But, you know, there's that off chance, 1% chance you'll play an elf. I guess 2% technically, but 1% chance you'll play either a wood elf or a high elf. And then, you know, 3 to 4% chance you're playing anything else. So we'll roll for it. Our random species, we're going to roll a D100 percentile die. Anything from 1 to 90 will be human, then we'll consult a table for the rest. So 1 D100. We are human. I have a character sheet here. That have specifically for character generation. Character generation. So human species. And I will keep track that I am going to have 20 current XP, because as it states in the book, if you roll for it and accept the result, you gain plus 20. Otherwise, you can choose and you don't get that plus 20, but you do get the choice of having that character. So that's one of the benefits there. So humans, don't really have to go too much on them. They're the most numerous of the Warhammer Fantasy races. Perhaps, well, most numerous of the terrestrial races. There's some questions to whether there's more of them than the Skaven, but I digress. So you can kind of go with anywhere with them. It could be Bretonnian, Thalian. I mean, you could have humans be from pretty much anywhere. They don't have to be just from the Empire. So we've got our species. Now we're going to go to class and career. So this is the kind of job that you're in at the beginning and the social stratus you belong in. So you got your classes. Your classes are academics, burghers, courtiers, peasants, rangers, riverfolk, rogues, and warriors. And they all have their different niches and all have their different effects on gameplay. So this is another randomly rollable thing, and then of course you get the career. Whatever career you happen to roll is associated with that class, you get that as well if you rolled for it, or you could choose. So as it states here, you can choose your class and career and then move on to the next step, or if you're unsure what to choose or just want to roll for it, which I'm going to, you can roll for bonus XP. You have a couple different options, and again, I do like this. You can roll just 1d100, and if if you want to keep it, you get plus 50 XP to spend. Or you have another option here that you can still get bonus XP. You can roll a total of 3 times and choose one, and you gain 25 XP. I don't care what I'm rolling for. I'm going to go ahead and just roll a D100 and let the dice fall. 46. What are we? So go down human, looking for the number 46. We are peasant villagers. That's about what you might expect. So we're going to be pretty lower class here, so I'll go ahead and mark that down. We are status of... Oh no, class is what we want here. Peasant. Yes. Career villager. And all careers are tier 1. So we've done that. I'll mark down an additional 50 XP to spend. So we're at 70 for accepting that. Okay. So we've got our career and class established. Now for the fun stuff, the attributes. So there are 10 attributes. They are rollable is an option, so you can roll. What we can do on our end is, again, a couple options for characteristics. If you're familiar with Warhammer, you know that your characteristics are the basis for all your skills, and there typically are some characteristics you want higher than others depending on your class. For a peasant villager, I'm not really sure what we're good at. We can go ahead and check and see. Not that it matters a whole lot, because I am going to probably go with option 1 for more XP, bonus XP. Of course, you have the option of rearranging them for the order you'd like them in, so you're better at certain things. But I'll go ahead and just check the class and careers for peasant, so I know whether or not to get excited here. Villager. So villagers... not horrible, actually. If you look at these little like cross marks here, the symbol for, I believe, the Imperial symbol, those are the 3 characteristics you can advance at level 1. Strength, toughness, and agility is actually not bad at all. Those are typically very core components for core characteristics for any kind of Warhammer character that's going to be involved in combat, because you'll need a mix of this in order to survive, technically, to do damage, to survive it, or just avoid it altogether. You'll see here alignment with the symbols. You unlock different characteristics you can advance in as you advance along a career path. We'll kind of go into career path later, but as you can see for this, villagers, you start at peasant for the first tier, then you get to be an actual villager. They can improve weapon skill. Counselors can improve fellowship, and then intelligence would be village elder. So you kind of unlock different ways to progress if you stay in your career path. Of course, you can go off of it as well, which is another thing. If you complete a career, whether you complete a career or not, actually, you can choose to go off it and XP expenditure. So each career path has these specific careers, and then if you let's say I complete peasant tier 1, right? Let's say I go through all this, I can meet all the prerequisites for it, which I'll go over shortly. I can do that, and it only costs me 100 XP to switch to something else within the same class. If I want to be something outside of the same class, which, again, the class for this is... Let's see, what was the class for that? The class, I believe, is peasants. If I want to go to something else, like say I want to go from being a peasant villager to a warrior, that costs an additional 100 XP. If I don't complete my current career path, like level, then it costs me an additional 100 XP. So if I wanted to switch and say I don't want to be a peasant and don't do anything with it, it would take 300 XP to switch to something else I want to be. So keep in mind of that as well. It's doable to switch careers, but 1, you need to have a good in-game reason for doing so. 2, it's going to cost you a lot of XP. So make sure you kind of choose what you want to do here accurately before you really commit to, rolling for characteristics or what have you. Make sure you make a character you're happy with. Don't just roll for, I'll just roll and get it, because you might get something you hate, and then, you don't want to be stuck with it. Not that anyone would make you be stuck with a character anyway, unless your GM's just a hard ass. But for characteristics, so if you're familiar with Warhammer, you know how this usually goes. You roll 2d10 for each of the 10 characteristics, and then you apply them to their specific traits. So there's a different, there's an additional one. Normally you'd roll it 9 times. There's a new characteristic in this this edition, it is initiative. I don't believe there was ever an initiative one before. So there are actually 10 characteristics now. Weapon skill, self-explanatory. That is just hand-to-hand fighting. Ballistic skill, same thing. Strength is how much damage you do in melee, and then your raw physical power. Toughness is how tough you are. Tanking damage, affecting toughness bonus, and surviving difficult conditions. This is initiative. This has to do with initiative in battle, but also has to do with reaction time and intuition and perception. Then we've got agility. That is just physical and natural athleticism. Also for dodge. Dexterity is fine manipulation. Intelligence is, I think actually initiative sounds like it replaces perception, which actually makes sense. You got your intelligence, self-explanatory, willpower, same thing. Fellowship, interacting with people. And then, of course, with any kind of Warhammer game, you've got your bonuses. There's a strength bonus, characteristic, any kind of characteristic bonus. This is a tens-digit basis. Affects different variable factors of play for talents or for damage. Like, for example, your strength bonus is going to determine any bonus damage that you do in combat. So we're going to roll for humans. Humans, as you can see here in the attributes table, they roll the same thing for everything. If we had rolled something else, there could be variances. Like for dwarves, for example, they get huge bonuses to their base roll to willpower and toughness. Absolutely possible to roll a 60 starting willpower for dwarves early on, just to kind of show how resolute and hardy they are. But on the downside, they're more difficult to interact with lower fellowship, and they're slower with lower agility. So, there's differences for each different class, or for each different race here. But of course, as with any Warhammer game, elves are annoyingly good at everything. Or at least not bad at something. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look here for humans. So we're just going to roll 2d10 10 times, add 20 to each one of them. And I'm going to, because I'm a masochist, I'm just going to assign them up and down, so we can end up with a terrible peasant, but who cares? It's just for fun. So we're going to take, again, there's a different steps here. You've got step 1 that gets you 50 XP if you just roll and assign from top to bottom characteristics. So, you can go ahead and just, from top to bottom, 2d10 plus 20, take it as it is. There's the other option for reassigning characteristics to where you want them to go from those numbers that you rolled, and you get plus 25 XP instead, because you kind of had some choice in where your stats go. This was probably a good median option, so that even if you end up with a class you're not 100% fond of, you still get a pretty good, kind of base character set for that character. Then, or maybe you're happy with the class you ran and rolled, and you just think, oh man, these stats suck for this guy. You can kind of rearrange them a bit. Then, of course, there's the option where you get no bonus XP, and you can just either roll again, or just do the allocation of 100 points across 10 characteristics with minimums of 4 and maximums of 18 to characteristics, which is, again, another decent option. So I'm going to do the roll, because I like to do it for the fun, let the dice roll. So 2d10, and we're just going to plus 20 them. So here we go. So that's weapon skill. We got a 32 in weapon skill, which is slightly above average. Ballistic skill 28, not so hot. 30 strength. 24 toughness, okay, not great. 29 initiative. 30 agility. 27 dexterity, 26 intelligence, not 256, no thanks. 34 willpower, not bad. And 33 fellowship. So, as we expected, pretty average starting character here, maybe a little bit less so in some aspects, but he's a villager. I'm not expecting a whole lot. All right, and then you see each different race also has formulas for determining wounds. For halflings, it's worse than everybody else because they are smaller and therefore weaker, typically. So For humans, it is strength plus 2 times toughness bonus plus a willpower bonus. That's where the bonuses come in. So our strength bonus is 3. There's our base. Toughness bonus times 2, right? So 3 plus 2 times 4. And then willpower bonus of 3. So 10 wounds. Not great, but not the worst. So wounds on this sheet, and this is a very well done sheet, by the way. So if you did this sheet, please notate yourself. I want to give you credit, but I'm not aware of who made the sheet here. Where is wounds? Aha! Oh, auto calculates. So this is I was talking about how good the sheet is. Boom, auto calculates it. So yeah, again, strength, touch bonus times 2, willpower bonus, in. Of course, you'd have to adjust this with a mod if you were a halfling and just to decrease your strength bonus, but we're not a halfling, we're a man. So humans start with base 2 fate. If you're familiar with fate, this is essentially your I don't want to die spend where you burn 1. It's also useful for re-rolling or adding, I believe you can also add chance to success on it for fate, just to cover that. So we'll take a quick look at fate. Spending fate and fortune, so you can re-roll a failed test, add +1 success level, I believe the SL is, which is basically degrees of success. And then at the start of the round, choose when to act in that round, disregarding initiative order. So you can use that to go ahead and those are kind of your fortune spends, and then your fate points. Your fate points are more permanent. Fortune replenishes. Fate, if you use a fate, you burn it essentially. So you can like spend fate to avoid death. There's a couple options to kind of give you some plot hooks there. So that's one of the main things you can do to burn fate, and I believe fate is gone forever after that. Regaining fate and fortune. You would regain all fortune points at the start of every gaming session up to your current fate. Resolve is another new mechanic that has to do with similar situations to fate, but not really. You spend resolve points to go ahead and become immune to psychology. It says here, ignore modifiers from crit wounds and remove a condition, such as the prone condition, which gives you a wound as well back if you remove that particular condition. And then resilience is a permanent spend. It's kind of similar to how fate is a permanent spend in this system, where it's if you use it, it's gone, and it affects your resolve as well. They're kind of tied to each other. Resilience is you can deny a mutation, or you can, rather than roll the result of a test, you choose the number, allowing you to succeed in even the dire situations. In opposed tests, you always win by at least 1 success level, which that is a huge use of resilience. And again, it's a permanent spend, so that point's gone forever, but boy, is that powerful. So don't disregard those things when you make your character. These can be very powerful tools and also very powerful roleplay hooks. Imagine being a situation where you have to come through, you burn that resilience, and it creates for an amazing scene. So keep in mind of fate and resilience, very powerful. But let's go ahead and take a look for humans again. So humans start with base 2 fate, 1 resilience. So we're going to plug that in. And again, resilience and resolve are tied. Fortune's the lower level portion where you spend it and it replenishes next game session. Resolve, the same thing. Fate and resilience, if you spend those, it better be for a good reason, because you ain't getting that point back, unless you level it or GM reward, but that rarely happens. It's only for the most extremist situations. So we have extra points as well. These extra points that you see, they are used to add to your fate and resilience. As you can see here, you have that base value and a number of extra points to spend between these two. So, fate's good and all, but if I'm smart, I'm not going to be dying. If you play your characters well and avoid bad situations, you can try to avoid death pretty regularly just through smart RP and making reasonable decisions. Or if you're a crazy bastard, maybe you don't care about dying. That's fine. But if for a villager like this, a villager is going to be superstitious, cautious. They live in a world full of hell and horrible things. I don't anticipate a villager would be one to rely on chance if they could help it. So of my points, I'm going to go ahead. I'm happy with 2 fate, actually. I'm going to put all 3 points into resilience for extra points. Because I feel like a peasant endures hardships every single day, just surviving. So they're going to be pretty resilient and hardy folk when it comes to being challenged in ways. And again, since we accepted our characteristics, we're up to 120 XP to spend. And then we have our movement factors, and this is how far you can move. And there are movement tables right here that show you we're at movement 4. So our walk is 8, our run is 16. This is something else that's changed a bit from the previous Warhammer. They used to have your half walk, full walk, run, sprint thing, which can kind of bog things down having to go look at that. They just simplified it. You got to walk and you got to run. And they're all, movement is handled a different way as well. So we're right in the median range there. We're not slow, we're not fast. So here's your base movement. We've got our fate, fortune, and wounds determined. We got all of our attributes determined. So we've got that done as far as that's concerned. Motivation. Motivation's important. It does have mechanics, and recovering your resolve point depends on using your motivation and role-playing it. So make sure it's something that makes sense and works well with other player characters, and is something fun to roleplay as well. So like for a peasant, what is a good way to roleplay a peasant? I think a peasant's primary motivation is just survival. I mean, day-to-day struggle, or maybe elevating status, but again, I don't know about that. We'll go with survival. Survival seems like a pretty base. That's a pretty good motivation for someone who doesn't have a lot to look forward to. It's just surviving. So I think that we have to be a bit more specific. Let's add some character to our peasant. Let's say he craves adventure. So he will look for opportunities to go to places that he's never been to before, to get out of the shell of being in a miserable village. So we'll go with something similar, like simple like that. It's interesting. So when we can also, and you can always work with your GM if you're not sure of a good motivation for a character. So movement, done that. So advanced characteristics. Okay, so we know that our advanced characteristics for the tier 1 for peasant is strength, toughness, and agility. Again, all very important things. So you can allocate a total at base level of 5 advances across the characteristics as you choose, and mark them in the advances box on your sheet. Let's take a look. Toughness. I definitely think that toughness would be best here, because I want to get a higher toughness bonus. So I'm going to do all 5 of my advances in toughness to 29, and maybe spend my bonus XP to get to 30, because toughness bonus is still just soak. It is important, I think, to have some kind of defenses available to protect yourself, because in a world where war, death, and horrible things happening is common, you gotta be tough. So I'm gonna put all 5 of my advances in toughness for this character. So skills have changed massively from previous editions. Skills used to be where you had you had to be trained, or if you were untrained, you took a half your characteristic penalty, and you could take plus 10 advances, and it depended on your characters. It just made, no offense, previous editions, love them, it just did make things pretty complicated. But for this game, they changed it up. So you've got your basic skills and your advanced skills. All your skills are derived directly from your characteristics. So if we look at our sheet, we have our full characteristic score in everything. What's changed is how advances work. It's no longer plus 10 or plus 20, all that other stuff, or trained and untrained. What changed is that advances are now at a 1-to-1 advance ratio. So what that means is that instead of taking an advance and getting plus 10 to that characteristic, you take an advance, you get plus 1. So advancing in a skill or a characteristic or anything like that is a 1-to-1, is a 1 point improvement. It's like it says here, 5 advances means that we improve our toughness by 5 by using all 5 of those advances on toughness. So that's what's kind of changed here. If you whatever you spend to improve something by 1 advance, it improves it by 1 point in the characteristic or skill. And then difference between basic and advanced skills. Essentially, for basic, anybody can use them. You don't need to have any advances in them. And the governing characteristic is what determines how they're used. Advanced skills, you need to have at least 1 advance in them to use them. So to kind of give you an idea of an advanced skill, you want to read and write, or be able to, heal, evaluate, do anything that requires a level of intellect or things like that, like this list right here that I'm showing you. You need to have 1 advance in them. You don't start with it. The only reason it has it is in this sheet is because it was a test sheet, and the GM was wanting to make sure everything worked correctly for macros, or for the sheet as well for the rollable. So we did our characteristic advance, put everything in toughness, because again I feel we need to get to 30 toughness. Just we're so close to getting that 3 toughness bonus. It gives us another point of damage soak, which can be the difference between life or death, literally. In skill advances, we've got our species skills and talents. So when you're going through for character generation, the first thing you do is you choose 3 skills to gain 5 advances each, and 3 skills to gain 3. So I'm a human, I'm a Reiklander, and there are the skills I get to choose from: animal care, charm, cool, evaluate, gossip, haggle, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and go into melee basic for a skill to gain a +5 advance. Because if you're going to survive in the Empire, you better know how to fight off at least wolves or whatever else is going to come by your village. So melee basic was one of our +5 picks. What's next here? We've got cool, charm. Cool, I believe, is kind of what determines how well you handle difficult situations and keep your composure. I'm going to say we're pretty composed. We've been in difficult situations before, so I'm going to give myself a +5 in that as well. And then what else is good? We're not very intelligent. We're fairly talkative. I think we're slightly above average in that. So let's actually go for gossiping, collecting news, and engaging with people. Let's do +5 there as well. Okay. So for the +3 skills, let's see. Being someone who wants to be adventurous, I would say that even if they haven't been around the Empire, they would have tried to, gather stories about it. So we're going to go for Lore Reichland, which would be an advanced skill. And we're going to put 3 in that. That's going to be based off our intellect. So we're not great at it, but I think it's fitting for the character. Animal care. I think being a peasant, you got to be able to take care of animals. Again, not great at it, but it is what it is. And then what's our good last +3? Haggle. I think that to get by on a day-to-day, you got to be able to bargain and BS people. So we're going to haggle, and we're not bad at haggling. So we've got everything picked for our advances here, and then we get to choose and kind of go through our talents. So for humans, they have some ominous selections for talents to start with. Doomed. You start with Doomed. And we'll go back and forth to get these added in just to kind of show what they do. So we get Doomed automatically, so we're already screwed, it looks like. But let's take a look at Doomed from the master talent list and what that means. Doomed. At the age of 10, a priest of Moor called a Doomsayer took you aside to foretell your death in an incense-laden coming-of-age ritual called the Dooming. In conjunction with your GM, come up with a suitable dooming. Should your character die in a fashion that matches your dooming, your next character gains a total of half the Gets a bonus of half the total XP your dead character accrued in play. That's actually pretty cool. Helps you get set up with a good new character. Hopefully doesn't set you up with incentives to just kill this guy, but okay. That's an interesting one. So next thing that we get a choice in the next one, I believe. So we mark Doom, which is quite a mechanic. Savvy or Suave? Let's see. If I remember correctly, these are +5s, but we'll see. So Savvy is a +5 to starting intelligence. Could be good, and does not count towards your advances. That's another important thing to note. As you continue to advance up a certain characteristic or skill, advances become more costly, and we'll look at that tree in a minute. So things like this, these kind of skills are actually good. You can take it a max of 1 time, as you can see there. So +5, not bad. Suave, I'm thinking, is the Fellowship. But we will make sure before I speak out of turn. Yep. +5 to starting Fellowship. So let's see. What would we like more? Intelligence would give us a 31, which isn't bad. Fellowship would give us a 38. I'm going to take Suave. I would say that our peasant's a chatty type. He likes to engage with people and learn their stories, learn more about where they've been, so he can talk. He can figure out his own adventures. So we're going to call that talent advance. Again, does not count towards starting advances. So we're at 38 now in Fellowship, which is actually very good. And now the best part about being a human, arguably, other than, being able to relate to pretty much all the other humans, how numerous you are, the best part of being a human is that you roll 3 random talents from this D100 table. So I'm going to roll 3 D100, and we're going to look, obviously, re-roll any duplicates or re-roll anything we already have. 43, 14, and 36. Let's take a look. 14 is attractive. Could be good. Could be another bonus to our attractive. When used, your piercing eyes, strong frame, maybe the way you flash perfect teeth. When you successfully use charm to influence those attractive, you can choose to either use your rolled SO or number rolled on your unit's die. Successful roll of 38 could be used for +8. Oh, that ain't bad. Okay, yeah. I like that. So attractive, we have an attractive peasant. Okay, so that's 1 that we've got. And what is 36? Let's go take a look at 36. 36 is luck. Okay, I'm liking this guy. Everything's coming together. What is luck? Your maximum fortune points now equal your current fate points plus the number of times you take in luck. Well, we took it 1 time. So that means we get an additional 1. I guess it's an additional fate point in this case. So now we're up to 3 fate, 3 fortune. Okay, and then we've got 1 more. I believe it was 43. Let me double check the roll. 43, yes. 43 is Mimic. Interesting. You have a good year for accents and dialects. You can replicate any accent you are exposed to for at least a day with an initiative test. This test may be attempted once per day. Once passed, you may mimic the accent and locals. You may always mimic the accent, and locals will believe you to be one of their own. Okay. Ah, interesting. Another way for him to gain information. This guy's kind of looking like he's sort of a face, even though he didn't pay in. There's nothing to really increase his characteristics beyond that, but not bad. Decent little early game face. Has some interesting characteristics there. Okay, so we've got everything rolled for starting characteristics. So then now we do our careers, skills, and talents. 8 skills and 4 talents. You can choose which of these you're most proficient at. You can allocate 40 advances to your 8 starting skills with no more than 10 advances allocated to any single skill at this stage. This is enough for you to add 5 advances to every career skill if you wish, which is one of the required steps to complete your career if you wish to move to a new one. So we can look at changing careers and what that entails real quickly, just so that it makes a bit more sense. And go ahead and bring that up here. Where is changing careers? There we go. Changing careers. So changing a career, you can either move to a different level within your current career or move to an entirely new career. So completing a career represents mastering your current vocation and being ready to move to something new. To complete a career, you must have the number of advances listed below in all your career's level characteristics and in 8 of your career level available skills. You must also have at least 1 talent from your current career level. Skills and talents you have gained from advancement prior to entering your current career count towards this. Okay. So 5 advances. So you need 5 advances in your characteristics and in 8 of your career levels available skills. So remember that you would need to do those 2 things before you could consider a career completed. See, if you've completed it, it's cheaper to change careers. If not, it costs more XP to do so. So let's go ahead and see here. Talent advances. See, this kind of goes through all the expenditures it would take. We're not going to get too much more into this, but I kind of wanted to show what it would mean to change careers and go over what that meant for the assignments. So again, it's 40. It is 40 advances across 10 skills, or no, 40 advances across 8 skills, which is enough for 5 in each. Again, that's required to advance, and then you get to choose 1 talent. So we're going to go ahead and look at the career, which is going to be Villager, I believe. Let me find Villager. There it is. So looking at our career, our starting skills are Animal Care, Athletics, Consume Alcohol, Endurance, Gossip, Melee Brawling, Lore, and Outdoor Survival. And you start with no trappings. That makes it real easy. Talents are Rover, Strong Back, Strong Minded, Stone Soup. So we're going to pick our talent first, so keep that in mind. Rover, Strong Back, Strong Minded, Stone Soup. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. So the Master Talent list. So Strong Back, I know, is more encumbrance. Strong Minded, I think, improves your cool or resilience. Let me see Rover. Using stealth in a rural environment, bystanders do not get passive perception. They can only spot you if they are specifically on lookout or watching for spies. So that could be good, kind of hiding out in the trees. Being a traveler, you know where to hide if you need to. And the other one was Strong Back, I believe. Yes, Strong Back. You may add your levels in Strong Back to your SL in any opposed strength test and can carry additional encumbrance points with trappings. This makes you much stronger. Stone Soup. You subsist on half the amount of food required without any negative penalties. Okay, that's pretty solid. That's kind of in step with not being fed very well as a peasant. What's the other one? Strong-minded. That could also be good. Strong-minded is... You're the epitome of determination and resolve. Add your level in strong-mind to your maximum resolve pool. That's probably the one. A very resolute and strong-minded peasant is this man. So I'm going to go ahead, and that's going to be the talent that I pick for this guy. Let me go ahead and get that squared away. Where is it? So I can just take a look. 'Cause what I'm going to do also is I'm just going to do what the book kind of recommends, is so that it's one of your things to move forward in the career. Because we'll probably just stay in this and move up, which seems fine to me. I don't mind moving up to Villager. So, not that we could do it right away anyway. We'd have to do more characteristic advances. But so we're going to put 5 in each of these, and then I'm going to take Strong-Minded as a talent, which would increase my resolve by 1. So we're at 3 5. That's a very tough lucky peasant. Strong-minded. And then looking at all of our things, all our advances here, we put 5 in each. This does not cost us anything additional. So we've got 8 advances total in animal care after that. Athletics, we get a 5 in. Consume alcohol, we get a 5 in. Very important skill. Endurance. Gossip, which is good because we had a +5 in that anyway. Oh, we got a +10 now. Outstanding. Melee brawling. Just in case you gotta smack someone around. Lore local. See, it's very easy to add skills if you need to. That's most certainly based off intelligence, which is not great for us, but oh well. And outdoor survival. And again, we get no trappings from this particular career, which is fine because you still get trappings based on your class. You get class trappings and career trappings. So since we're peasants, we get all that right there. So cloak, clothing, dagger, pouch, sling bag containing rations. So we're not unarmed. We're not well armed with a dagger, but it is what it is. And then we are a status tier of brass 2, I believe. I'll double check. And this determines how much you roll for starting money to see how much you start with. Brass 2. So we're going to roll 4d10 brass, I think is what that said. Yeah, 2d10 brass pennies per status level. So we're going to roll 4d10 for our starting pennies. 22 pennies. Not bad. I think it's a... Let's see. 22. Oh my goodness. 200 and... Is it 240 pennies or a shilling? I don't know, man. That's rough. We'll figure out that exchange rate at another time. The rest of this is adding detail. Names, eye color, ambitions. All these are very important. Ambitions are obviously help you figure things out as far as your ambitions, your party ambitions, things like that. So definitely don't want to disregard these, but I'm just doing this character for character generation. I'll do it for fun just to kind of go through for ambitions. Might as well be comprehensive in it, right? So ambitions, this guy's an adventurer. Short-term ambition is to leave Reichland. We're going to assume this guy's... We're starting in Reichland in this case, and he wants to get out of Reichland. He's been around here enough. He wants to go to other places, see other things. His long-term goal, this is a goal that may never be reached by him, is to travel the old world. So it's the civilized... Let's go ahead and... The civilized... old world. He wants to see all the sights and sounds, different cities and the wasteland. He wants to go to Bretonia. He wants to go to the border kingdoms, to Leia. He wants to see all these big cities. Travel to major cities. Travel to all major human cities in the old world. That's his goal. He may never reach that goal. That is a very tough goal to reach. Party short-term goal, long-term goal, we don't know. We don't even know what the party's doing right now, so we're not going to worry about that. And then, of course, the next part would be the backstory and everything else, and we have those 120 experience points to spend, which I would probably get another town. I'd probably get strong back, actually, for that extra strength or success level. And time to encumbrance, because why not? Okay. And that would spend 100 points of experience. Now I could have also used that to level up some characteristics in my field as well, which wouldn't have been a bad choice, to kind of show you how that would work for advancement. As you can see here under advancement, you've got the cost of advancing a characteristic or skill from 0 to 5, which is 25 and 10 for characteristics and skills respectively. It continues to increase incrementally as you add more. So it's harder to become better at something as you might expect. The more you know about something, the harder it is to learn new things about it. A good starting base really kind of sets the tone for what your character will be like. All right. But that is pretty much the gist. Of course, if you have any questions about how this works, or want to get any kind of assistance with generating a character or anything like that, definitely let me know. I'm happy to do so. And that goes for any game, not just this one. I'm always happy to help out and make characters and get things sorted out. It's something that I enjoy doing with any system. I figure you learn more about a system if you generate characters or many characters for it. But that is going to be it. This is a bit longer than I want it to be, but that's going to be it for character generation. Any further questions on it or concerns, please go ahead and let us know. I'll be happy to go ahead and get sorted out. Thanks for your time. Have a good rest of your night. Take care.